Need more Grok Talk? Well, you can catch new shows Saturday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Miss a show? Not a problem. Past shows are rebroadcast here daily from 9 to 11 a.m. Monday through Friday. Join us for 2 hours of unapologetic conservatism. And we're not just armed with opinions.
Alrighty. No tapping on the table, Mike. Stop that. Rock Talk is brought to you by GraniteRock.com and the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers, coming to you live almost every Saturday, rebroadcast Monday through Fridays from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on GraniteRock.com and TheRockNHCR.com. Check us out anytime you want, anywhere you want on your mobile device, on Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and if you're into it, YouTube and Ustream, when we actually record it on Ustream.
Thanks. And let us not forget, the band that's doing the intro here are capitalists. These guys know how to manage a business.
Right, so I got to turn it down before I go too far and exceed my fair use provision, and they sue me. Go ahead.
Jane,
you're pointing to me.
Yeah, so you said, do you guys really believe what you're saying? Right. Open up with that.
Okay,
Tell us what you got on your mind.
So, you're probably 3 of maybe 5 people here in the state that I feel that I can actually make a statement to, and we'll get a coherent, helpful response in return. No. But you know what? There's something about this. Thanks. There's something about this recent election, the way that this is falling in the Republican primary side, that boggles my mind and really rather upsets me. And I know that it shouldn't, because, like you said, there are plenty. We're all friends, and I don't mean here. I mean, out there. Right, we have Republican friends.
We're not her friend
No,
anymore.
Shush, you. No, I'm just saying that, everybody knows me knows I'm solidly behind Cruz from I think I first met him late 2013 when he was just speaking at an event. And since then, and I knew then that if he ran, that was it. Fine.
Like I picked up on Herman Cain around 2009 or 10 and was so saddened when the party pushed him out.
Yeah. Well, that was a shame, too. So we have such a bizarre situation here. I'm active in the situation because I've supported Ted, but also on social media. I'm now doing even more Twitter, but I'm big on Facebook, and I'm big on going into the pages of the Facebook that support Trump. I almost never use. I don't think I've ever called names. I will say the Donald. I will be very clear as to why I believe he's backward on this stuff and that he's a liberal, and that I can point to specific words that he has used. And I'm not saying even that far long ago. I mean, I'm not even talking about the stuff that he said in the 90s. I'm talking about stuff that he has said within 5-6 years. Right?
Well, like, for example, he couldn't get straight which side of the Obamacare mandate he was only this week.
Well, now we know, right? Single payer, which is probably the most progressive and deadly thing that can happen to the nation. But okay, that's all right. So I'm being the person that I am because I don't like to back off. I have found in the past month that many prominent constitutional conservatives have been doing everything they can to put their thumb down and squish when I'm online or when I'm talking. And
Are they treating you like Miscellany Blue would treat you if you used the word Free State?
Well, I'll tell you what has happened. You know what? In some ways, it's been shocking to me because while I think I've been fairly, I haven't been ugly at all, or name calling, but I've been specific. I keep getting responses which make me think that they're actually talking to one another, because they keep saying, "So Jane, will you vote for Trump if he wins?" And then they say this, and it kills me. It kills me. And you know what? I think you guys are just better than I am. Because then they all say, 2-1, well, we'll vote for Cruz if he wins. And it infuriates me. Because in private conversations with these people, and they're well-known names, you guys know the same people I know, they will tell me, we know that Cruz is the real deal. They will say, we know where he stands. We think he's a good guy. Blah, blah, blah. And then they go out and they push for Trump. Actively push and push and push for Trump. I want to say to them, and this last, like I said, a couple weeks ago, there was one guy that, I've been responding to for a while, a real conservative. I suspect he was in the service and really respected this guy. And, he virtually got to name calling with me because I would not say I would vote for Trump. In this email thread, I said, I vote for the person. I am not going to vote for anybody whom I feel, whether it's Republican or Democrat, is not a person of integrity.
I'll name names.
Well, this guy got so egregious in there. And, they always end up cutting me off. I've lost them all, which is fine. They say, okay, we can't talk to you anymore, which is okay. Because that's what it's for. That's why you have an unfriend button, right? Mm-hmm. So he just kept dogging, will you vote for me? I kept saying, I'm not going. I said, why should I even have to answer this? We're talking about the race, Cruz versus Trump. And then he said, well, I would vote for Cruz. I said, you know what? That's really big of you. So we go in there and we fight the war for the guy that in your heart of hearts is correct. And then you'll deign to come and join us after the war's been fought, and we'll vote for Cruz. I find that so disingenuous and so wrong for what our founders stood for, and yet these are the guys that will stand behind and say, founding fathers. Bull crap. I say bull crap. I say that you are so wrong, and I don't think we should placate this.
The nearest thing to a founding father is... Sorry, go, Skip. The nearest thing to a founding father today is Ted Cruz. Go, sorry.
His eyes were open, too, when he did
I know that. I know. Go, Skip, and then he keeps on going.
All right, go on. You go. I'll shut up.
The camera can see the red face. It's almost as red as your shirt.
It's a reflection.
I think what you're seeing is typical. And I don't see, from reading of history, I don't see anything that as anything worse than what we saw back at the founding of our country, because the politics there were brutal.
Right.
And they got to duel, too.
No kidding. Life-threatening.
Life-threatening. You're seeing the interplay of the cult of personality. You're seeing psychology. You're seeing mob mentality. You're seeing sociology all wrapped up into one. And this is nothing new. Every single major type deal, as far as an election is concerned, we get that all the time, except we generally, on the Republican side, and I'm not a Republican anymore, yay! We've had such a plethora of personalities and stances and numbers of candidates. We have seen that segmentation. And there, like I said, if you don't believe in God, you believe in anything. And it's the same way in politics, because when you start to back a candidate, sometimes it's logical. We all can point to things that we like about Ted Cruz, because all of us here are Ted Cruz supporters. And we can list that stuff up because we are the analytical type here. But there's very much to be said for the psychological side, that people just operate on feelings. And whether we like it or not, that's what you might see. There is what our esteemed friend here said about movies and the suspension of belief.
Right.
And I think part of that is seeing that and the sense of, I belong to a movement.
But I'm not talking about the people that are uninformed that are pushing for Trump. I'm talking about the ones that know better.
But they've made their stance, and now they can't back down.
Why?
And I said it earlier, I said, this is where we learn lessons about these people. And where they stand.
I hope that's not true, because I find that
doesn't
crushing.
mean they can't be saved, right? Every soul can be saved. We know this is true, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know they can be saved.
Send for Rafael
However,
Cruz.
it tells us things about their psychology and their politics. And it says to you, maybe down the road they won't have my back. So you just assume they don't. The person that I was having an issue with was Al Baldessaro. He's out there on Facebook pushing the Cruz is Canadian, he's not a citizen,
Huge.
The lawsuit, and all that stuff. Now, there's a whole bunch of things in there. Whether you agree or not, the lawfare component is the thing I have a problem with. If you want to debate whether or not, but using this form of intimidation, threats of lawsuits, not just on that, but on ads and on everything else, this is completely liberal. There is no...
Progressive.
There is a progressive thing. There is no room for support for that. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't support it if it was being done, and I'm not going to.
They think it's funny.
But
he's taking it to him.
But those who would commit lawfare against Ted Cruz or engage him in a battle of wits are bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Right. I don't care who he's using it against. Carson, anybody, okay?
I agree.
If somebody was using it on Trump, There's no place for that. Okay.
No.
That's to
when
make
Al
you
did
shut
that.
up.
When Al did that, I got really mad, and I was like, that
You're not
tells
alone.
me something about. And he's not alone. He's not the only
You're
one. I'm
right.
not just picking
No,
on
I
Al.
getcha.
Al does great things, but this is a problem for me.
It is for me too, and Al, like you said, there are plenty of other people that the past 5 years I've worked side by side with, fighting for what we talk about here every week. You know, how we stand for founding, for what is really important, founding principles.
Our founding principles, that American exceptionalism isn't about
Yes.
bragging, but about being founded differently.
they
And
be
as a
so lost?
contrast, there are Trump supporters who are not pushing this narrative, and that's a different situation.
Right.
They support Trump, but they're not out there saying, yeah, sue him. Yeah, he's not American. They're letting that part go by.
So-
They're focusing on the other things about his campaign that they like. Now, that doesn't forgive them for it
No, I get
necessarily,
you.
but it tells you something
And
about
I agree with what you're saying. You're
them
right about that.
as a supporter and as a politician or a person
So I
engaged
want you
in the
to.
debate.
So explain this to me then, because this is what I don't get about it. And like I've said, I've gotten multiple times almost the same wording from different folks, founding principle people, supposedly here in New
You
Hampshire.
mean like liberal talking points?
No, here's what they say. Why do they always say, why do they try to make me say, I will vote for Trump? What is that component? Because, you know, if I saw once or twice, it wouldn't be a big deal. But I'm getting it from all of these folks that, like Baldassaro, who has not been one of those, but like Baldassaro, that have been on the front of pushing Trump here big time with our group of constituents, right? Why they do?
The
why?
guy dressed in the Christmas colors has an answer.
Go ahead. I'm just wondering.
Where's my red?
Red hat.
It's hat.
Oh,
Hat.
dang.
Go ahead, Christmas elf. Tell us. Hey,
Christmas
you're going to
elf.
have a better answer than anybody else. I'm just having some fun. Go.
Look back to the beginning of the Trump campaign, where he was originally threatened with where he was threatening, I won't support the nominee.
Right.
I will leave and go to a third party.
And it might still happen.
And it may still happen. But that's how, in the early time of his campaign, that's what started this. So that is part and parcel of what you're seeing here now, in my understanding, because now they're trying to use that against everybody else. Well, you know, he finally signed it, and I think he was compelled to sign
so
it.
what?
But now they're using that.
Why are they trying to say, "Will you vote"? Why is that a
They
big
want
deal?
to. They want to lock you in the way the RNC locked him in.
Yes.
I also think it's
So that when he runs third party,
yeah.
if he does,
Yeah.
you don't. He could still win.
It's part of
Are you kidding me?
It's part of the narrative, I think, to say that we can't trust Republicans to vote for Donald if he wins. So if enough people balk at it, they're basically. This is. I think it's their litmus test. They're saying, "Look, we told you so. The party doesn't support us. Therefore, if we don't win at the convention, we're going to go for the party."
It's very Paulist, and it has some of the same undertones of the Ron Paul cult of personality, where there is no other candidate, no matter what. I mean, there's a lot of that. It's not all of them. I mean, there are a lot of libertarians that support Trump and Cruz and like Rubio even.
Yeah.
And those are all fine. I mean, you can choose your, but that undercurrent, one of the problems I always had about Ron and Rand Paul wasn't Ron Paul or Rand Paul. It was their supporters.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with any of them. I mean, I don't agree with them on the international stuff
you're
and the
right.
foreign policy
Correct.
stuff, but given the manifold of choices, I would have taken them almost anywhere, anytime over anybody, because
Yeah.
I knew I could count on them
Yep.
to do what they believed. And that was the important part, just like this whole discussion has been about, can I trust you to defend what you believe?
Well, and obviously not in some cases.
Right,
And,
exactly.
just taking an example from the 2012 versus the 2016 campaign. In the 2012 campaign, Biondo was on the Santorum campaign, and him and his people were treated very badly by the Ron Paulists,
They were.
especially at the Iowa straw poll. And I observed that, and I supported him and his people over that. Fast forward 4 years, and we're talking about the winnowing process for a conservative, and Rand Paul is a very plausible conservative, certainly a constitutionalist, better than his father in many ways, I believe, or more appealing. Okay? And Biונdo's on that campaign, and we say, fine, so we got this process. Will you participate? Oh, no, I'll take my toys and go home.
Yeah, because they couldn't have the whole
Again,
the whole
and that
thing,
was a
right?
lesson that was learned. And those of us who are interested in that sort of thing were paying attention.
Yeah, and I think that was further underscored when the Republican Liberty Caucus was held and their straw poll, and Cruz got within an inch of Paul at his own show, and they knew the writing was on the wall.
And the
then.
RLC did eventually endorse Rand Paul right before he dropped out, and we didn't say it was fixed.
No.
But it's the Republican Liberty Caucus. It just seems natural for me to think that that's the way they're going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I go back to the beginning of the Trump campaign, and I think what you're seeing is that tactic being used against other people. Well, you force this upon us. We're trying to force this upon you just to see how steadfast you are to that particular principle. And what we're seeing now is that there are a lot of Republicans that are coming out and saying, I won't vote for Trump.
Right.
And we saw
And it
about
pisses
3
them
to
off.
4 weeks ago where you had a number of heavyweights basically saying, maybe it is time for us to go and form a third party. And this is the establishment saying we'll form a third party.
Isn't that
And I thought
wild?
that was hysterical.
So that's why I say this is not.
They've basically admitted they can't control the outcome within their own party anymore, and they may have to go off somewhere else.
Oh, go. Bye.
I mean,
Yeah, Papa Smurf saying,
Let me help you, Paul.
Has that ever
I don't understand the electorate anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
well,
perfect.
I got the perfect combo for them. Why don't they leave and form their own party and take Bloomberg and Bush as the candidates?
They can call it the Bull Moose Party or something.
But I don't think this has really happened before. Have you ever seen anything like this? How bizarre. It's almost like it's inside out. And for how many decades have we said, God, please send us a constitutional conservative for the bully pulpit in our White House? And, someone that can actually educate, someone that can actually speak, in a way that people can grasp.
And then we got the Jim Gilmores and who was the other also ran?
Pataki?
Pataki. I mean, you've got all these people who continue to look in the mirror saying, I could be president. And they all came out at the same time. We saw the plethora of candidates in the last cycle. Not quite as many as this time, but still enough to fill the stage. And we're hearing the same thing now that we did back then.
I mean, the
How
bar
do we
is...
get them all to debate?
After we elected Obama, how much lower could the bar
No
go?
kidding.
Really? He doesn't know crap about anything. And
It's
he's
going
president.
lower because Trump knows less.
No, I'm going to agree with Rubio on this.
You got about 30 seconds.
Obama absolutely has known what
I
he's
agree.
trying to do.
He did it from the beginning.
I will tell you that he has been one of the best presidents
All right, you've
ever.
said that 1,000 times. I don't even need to hear you. He has been very effective at advancing his agenda.
Yes.
But
He
if you
has.
look at everything we were told about him, none of it's true.
Yeah,
Oh, that's true.
He's just a guy
yeah,
he's
it's
a vessel.
paper tiger.
talking
He's
to a
vessel, that's right.
girl,
he's
trying to
ahead,
tell him
go
he
there.
loves her. All right, we'll be right back. This is Grok Talk. We will be back in a couple of minutes. Stay tuned as we go to break, and I find the right buttons to push. There we go. Bye.
Excellent.